on nobody's lips. What would happen if you baked ginger nut biscuits into a loaf of bread? Let's find out. So I'm not going to be messing about kneading and proving and doing all that sort of stuff. I've got a bread maker that can do it for me. So if you wanted to watch someone do kneading and proving, go watch somebody else. I'm doing it the easy way. I'm going to begin by adding 370 ml of warm water, just tap water, into my bread maker tin. I'm going to add 3 teaspoonfuls of homemade applesauce into the water. Now you might be wondering, why am I putting applesauce in if it's a ginger biscuit recipe? You won't taste the applesauce in the final thing. It actually acts as a yeast nutrient to help the yeast establish, because when you add extra things into bread, sometimes the yeast struggles and you don't get a good rise. So I'm giving the yeast the best possible opportunity to build up a colony before the baking begins. So let's say 3 rounded stroke heaped teaspoonfuls of applesauce have gone into the water. Stir that around. So I'm going to use 2 different kinds of yeast. I've got Asda baking yeast and I've got Loaf Crystalweizen beer yeast. Now the beer yeast actually works really well in bread. Mixing these 2 together in my last loaf was a good success, so I'm going to replicate that hopefully again in this one. I'm not really measuring the yeast, but I'm kind of aiming at 3/4 of a teaspoonful of baking yeast, maybe a little bit more-ish. And then I'm going for a similar amount of the Crystalweizen yeast. That should do. I'm also going to add the equivalent of 1.5 teaspoonfuls of sugar, just standard household caster sugar. Okay, so that's what it looks like currently. I'm now going to cover this over, leave it for half an hour, and then come back to it. So while I'm waiting for the yeast to establish, let's have a look at the ginger biscuits. Can't beat a McVitie's ginger biscuit, can you? Right, enough of that. Let's get some of these out into a bowl. Now this packet holds 250 grams. I reckon half the packet, what's that, 125 grams? 2/3 of the packet will be about right. 153 grams, let's stick one more in for good luck. 162 grams, that'll do. Okay, I'm going to give them a bit of a bashing. I'm not going to completely smash them into powder, but I want to break them up into smallish pieces. I'll be back. Okay, that will do. You can see that there is some powdery bits and there's some bigger bits as well. What will probably happen in the bread maker is it will all just get disintegrated anyway, but it would be nice to think that some larger pieces might live on within the loaf. So I'll leave it like that. I now need to weigh out 400 grams of strong white bread flour. I've gone slightly over, I'm on 430, I won't worry about it. Okay, 30 minutes have passed, let's have a look. And now we have what is a krausen formed on top of the liquid. This is where the yeast has reacted very quickly and formed what is essentially a protective layer above it, so it can carry on establishing beneath it. On top of this now, I'm going to very gently add the flour. So I don't want to chuck it on. But the krausen should protect the yeast beneath the flour. On top of that, I'm now going to add the ginger nut biscuits. I'm going to add 3 generous teaspoonfuls of olive spread. You could use margarine or butter. I'm using Olivio. You could even just use olive oil. And then finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. Now it's important that you add this last and don't let it get anywhere near your yeast. There's about a teaspoonful gone in there. Yeast and salt don't really like each other. Right, down to the bread maker we go. There it is in the corner. So I simply lift the lid. And I place the bread maker tin inside the bread maker. It just twists into place. I pop the handle down to the side. That's locked in nice and tightly. Close the lid. Okay, so I want a large loaf. I want a medium bake. And I'm sticking to programme number 1, which is just a basic loaf. I don't need to do anything more fancy than that with this loaf. However, I want this to be on for a long time. It's currently 6:45 in the evening. I'm getting up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and I want the bread to be ready just as I'm getting up. So on that note, I'm going to adjust the timer because the basic cooking time is 4 hours, but I'm going to let this have a really long prove, and this will really help the yeast to establish. So I'm going to get up to 12 hours, and then I'm going to add 20 minutes. So I shall be up just before the bread is ready, and then we'll start. And that's pretty much it for now. It was a really easy recipe. So I've got a few more bits and bobs to do in the kitchen this evening, but otherwise we'll check out the bread tomorrow morning when it's ready. Catch you then. And that beeping that you can hear is the bread that's now ready. Let's have a look. Oh, that looks good. It's got a nice domed top. Happy with that. Oven glove on, safety first. It's very hot. Yeah, first impressions are, but that looks okay. Right, let's get it out. Okay. On its side. So you get the hole in the bottom because that's from the bottom of the tin. You always get that when you use a bread maker. But look, it looks really good. It's a nice shape. And I can smell the gingerness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this now for a good 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer, because there's a lot of steam inside there and it will escape through the hole if I leave it that way up. So I'm going to leave it like that, cover it over. We'll come back to it in a little while. Okay, it's time. You can really smell the ginger nuts. It's brilliant. It's got a lovely crisp crust and it feels like it's got quite a soft centre actually as I'm cutting. Oh, look, this was white bread. That colour is definitely from the ginger nut biscuits. It's really worked. And the smell is there. Yes! Right, let's have a little taste. It's worked. It's quite sweet and there is a subtle gingerness. It's not an overpowering gingerness at all. It's not like eating a ginger nut biscuit. It's like a really nicely, delicately flavoured gingerbread. Really good. So the initial question was, what happens if I bake ginger nut biscuits into a loaf of bread? The answer is, it makes really, really nice bread. Okay folks, that's it for this film. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you have done. If there's anything that you'd like to see me bake into a loaf of bread, please say so in the comments. Let's make this a regular feature. See you later, kids. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is StuMoss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.